The lawyer sitting across from me just told me my husband bet our house in a poker game. The house that's only in my name. The house he had absolutely no legal right to gamble away. But somehow, he found a way. And when I discovered the truth, the forgery, the lies, the sheer betrayal, I made him a promise. If he wanted to play games with my property, I'd play a game with his freedom. Mrs. Chen, I'm here to discuss the transfer of deed for your property at 4782 Oakmont Drive. I stared at Harrison Blackwell, expensive suit, leather briefcase, sitting uninvited in my law office. I'm Victoria Chen, a corporate attorney at one of Dallas's top firms. Transfer of what? I said, my brain struggling to process. Your home. My client, Vincent Romano, now holds the deed as of 3 days ago. He slid documents across my desk. A promissory note dated May 15th. My husband, Derek, had borrowed $175,000 from Romano, using our house as collateral. The loan was due yesterday. At the bottom, Derek's signature, witnessed and notarized. This is impossible, I said. That property is solely in my name. My husband has no authority. Texas is a community property state, Mrs. Chen. Your husband provided a sworn affidavit stating you consented. There it was, Derek's handwriting, claiming we'd discussed this, that I'd agreed to use the house for a business investment. Every word was a lie. What was the money for? A private poker game. Derek had bet our house in a poker game. I called him immediately. Third try, he answered. Victoria, I can explain. You bet our house? Our children's home? It wasn't supposed to happen like that. I had a system. Go home now. I will be there in 30 minutes. If you're not there, I will destroy you. I'm 37 years old. I worked my way through law school on scholarships. I bought that house 5 years ago with money I earned working 80-hour weeks. Every square foot belongs to me. Derek? He came from oil money. His father owns car dealerships. When we met 9 years ago, he was charming, working in the family business. We married, had 2 kids, Lily, 8, and Mason, 5. But in 9 years of marriage, Derek had 11 jobs. Each one was going to be the big one. None lasted. I kept us afloat on my $185,000 salary while Derek bounced between ventures. I thought we were building a life together. I was so stupid. When I got home, Derek was pacing in the kitchen. Tell me everything. If you lie once, I'm calling the police. The story tumbled out. 6 months ago, he started playing poker. Won $1,500 his first night. Got hooked. The games got bigger, stakes higher. He started losing, borrowed from his parents, from payday loan places, from credit cards I didn't even know existed. 2 weeks ago, Vincent Romano, a real estate developer who hosts high-stakes games, invited Derek to an exclusive game. Buy-in, $50,000. Potential pot, $500,000. I knew I could win. I just needed stake money. So you used our house. How? This is where it got criminal. 3 months ago, Derek forged a quit-claim deed showing I'd transferred partial ownership to him. He took my signature from car refinancing documents, had someone digitally place it on fake paperwork, then filed it with the county. You forged my signature. You committed fraud. I was desperate, and I thought I would win it all back. What happened at the game? I lost everything in 2 hours, went all in on a full house. Romano had 4 sixes. I borrowed more against the house, kept losing. By the end, I was down $175,000. I walked to the sink and vomited. Victoria, please, I'll fix this. How? We don't have $175,000. My parents, your parents just loaned you money 6 months ago. Then we'll borrow against your retirement. Against my 401k that I built while you bounced between jobs? No. I looked at this man I'd trusted 9 years for and felt nothing but cold rage. I'm going to save my house, and then I'm going to make sure you pay for what you've done. You're not just losing our marriage, Derek. You're losing your freedom." His face went white. "You wouldn't. You forged legal documents, filed fraudulent paperwork, used my identity to commit fraud. Those are felonies, multiple felonies, and I'm going to make sure you're prosecuted for every single one." After Derek left, I called my friend Rachel Kim, a forensic document examiner. "This signature isn't even close to yours. The pressure points are wrong, and this notary stamp, fake. The registration number doesn't exist." Next, I investigated Romano. He presented himself as a legitimate developer, but when I dug deeper, I found FBI investigations for money laundering, twice, connections to organized crime. His real estate didn't generate enough revenue for his lifestyle. The poker games were his real business. I found 3 other people who'd lost property to Romano in similar schemes. None had fought back. Too scared, too ashamed, too broke. But I'm a corporate attorney with 12 years of litigation experience. I know how to build cases. I know how to find leverage. I called my colleague Michael Torres, a criminal law specialist. If someone forged documents for illegal gambling collateral, what charges? Forgery, fraud, identity theft, 5 to 10 years per count. And if the person accepting the collateral knew it was fraudulent, that's fraud, receiving stolen property, potentially RICO, federal charges, 20 years minimum. What if I had evidence? I told him everything. "Victoria, you need the FBI. This sounds like organized crime. If Romano's running illegal gambling and using fraud to seize property, that's RICO, Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act. I just want my house back. You'll get it, but you have a chance to make sure these people can't do this to anyone else." He was right. The next morning, I filed a police report, but the detectives said cases like this take months to prosecute. Meanwhile, Romano could still evict us. So I called in a favor from an FBI agent I'd helped years ago. What he told me changed everything. Romano was under active investigation for organized crime, and the FBI wanted my help to take him down. But their plan required me to wear a wire and get Romano to confess. One mistake, and everything could go wrong. But I didn't have a choice. Derek forged my signature and bet our house in an illegal poker game. I discovered Vincent Romano, the criminal trying to steal my home, was under FBI investigation. Now they wanted my help to take him down, but their plan required me to wear a wire and get Romano to confess. One mistake, and everything could go wrong. But I didn't have a choice. Special Agent Marcus Rivera sat across from me in a coffee shop outside Dallas. "Victoria, Romano isn't just running poker games. He's laundering money for the Castellano crime family. The games, property seizures, loans, it's all a front. He takes dirty money, loans it out, seizes property when people can't pay, sells it for clean money." How many properties? 18 over 5 years. Total value, $4.7 million. So arrest him. We need him on tape, admitting to the fraud. We need someone he trusts to get him talking. When you offer to settle, he'll believe you've given up. He'll be cooperative, and he'll talk. What if he suspects something? We'll use undetectable equipment. Agents will be nearby. If anything goes wrong, they're there in 60 seconds. I thought about Lily and Mason, about their home, their safety. When? Tomorrow. The next morning, they fitted me with a wire, a tiny device hidden in my blouse button. "Get him talking about the loans, other properties, the poker games," Rivera coached. "If you feel unsafe, say, 'I need to call my lawyer. We'll come in immediately.'" At noon, I walked into Romano's office. He stood, mid-50s, silver hair, expensive suit, warm smile. He looked like someone's successful uncle, not a criminal. "Mrs. Chen, please sit. I'm glad you decided to settle reasonably. I want this resolved quickly. I have children." "Family comes first. I have grandchildren myself." Was that a threat? A reminder he knew about my kids?
Mr. Romano, before we discuss payment, I need to understand what happened. How did my husband use a house not in his name as collateral? Texas community property law is straightforward. Derek provided documentation showing you'd consented. Except I didn't. I never knew about the poker game until afterward. Are you suggesting your husband lied in sworn documents? I'm trying to understand how this works. Do you extend loans like this often? I run a hospitality business. I host private events where successful people enjoy card games. Sometimes participants need short-term liquidity. For $175,000? Your husband was playing in a high-stakes game. The buy-in was $50,000. How many other people have you extended these loans to? Romano's smile tightened. I don't discuss other clients. But there are others, other properties you've taken. Mrs. Chen, where are you going with this? I forced myself to look nervous. I need to know this is legitimate, that you're not taking advantage of desperate people. I'm a businessman, not a cherry. People gamble freely. If they lose more than they can afford, they face consequences. But you host illegal gambling. You use it to seize property from vulnerable people. Romano stood abruptly. I think you should leave. I'm sorry, I didn't mean... You came claiming you wanted to settle, but you're building a legal case? Are you wearing a wire, Mrs. Chen? My pulse spiked. What? No! Stand up. Mr. Romano, stand up now. I need to call my lawyer. The door burst open. FBI agents in tactical gear flooded in. Vincent Romano, you're under arrest. Romano's face went furious. You set me up. You tried to steal my house, I said, voice shaking. What did you expect? Agent Rivera appeared. You okay? He knew. How? He was testing you, but we got everything. His admissions about the loans, games, other properties. Combined with everything else, we've got him. What happens now? Romano goes to jail. His assets get seized, including the claim on your house. You're free and clear. I should have felt relieved, but I just felt exhausted. 2 days later, Rivera called me at 11 p.m. Victoria, we seized Romano's records. We found something about Derek. My stomach dropped. What? He wasn't just a victim. He was working for Romano. The next morning, Rivera showed me bank statements. Regular payments to Derek from Romano's shell companies. $47,000 over 8 months. Derek was a recruiter. He'd identify wealthy targets, befriend them, invite them to games. He'd feed Romano information about them. The games were rigged. Derek would set up marks, and Romano would engineer scenarios to take maximum money. How many people? 12 that Derek directly recruited. 3 lost their homes. But Derek lost money too. Did he? We found emails. They were planning to split the profit when Romano sold your property. Derek would walk away with $80,000. No, he wouldn't put our kids on the street for money. Victoria, Derek's been drowning in debt for years. This was his way out. And there's more. More?
Derek's been having an affair for 6 months with Romano's daughter, Gabriella. Text messages, hotel receipts, emails. They were planning to leave Texas together once the house deal went through. The room spun. An affair with Romano's daughter. A calculated plan to destroy my life and abandon our children. Derek is facing serious federal charges. 20 years minimum. I confronted Derek in prison. What he confessed to was worse than I imagined. Not just the affair, not just working with Romano, but something else. One final secret that would determine whether I walked away with anything left. And the choice I made next would change everything. Because Derek had one more card to play. And I was about to call his bluff. Derek wasn't just a gambling addict. He was working with Romano, recruiting victims, planning to abandon our kids with his mistress. Now he was facing 20 years in federal prison. But when the FBI found offshore accounts with $340,000, I realized Derek had one final card, and I was going to take it. 3 days after Derek's arrest, a woman named Catherine Park came to my office. "Mrs. Chen, your husband owes me $85,000, she said, sliding papers across my desk. A loan agreement dated 9 months ago. Derek borrowed for a technology startup investment. Miss Park, you'll need to file with the federal prosecutor. The company doesn't exist, never did, but I found where the money went." She showed me bank statements. He transferred it to a Cayman Islands account, in his name and Gabriela Romano's. After she left, I called Rivera. "How much money are we talking about?" he asked. "At least $85,000, but if Derek was planning this for months, there could be more." 3 days later. "Victoria, we found multiple offshore accounts. Total? Approximately $340,000. $340,000? Derek's been systematically defrauding people for over a year. Poker recruits, fake investments, borrowed money, credit card fraud. He'd funnel it offshore, building an escape fund with Gabriella. Can you recover it? Problem is, the accounts are in both names. Gabriella claims it's hers, that Derek gave it as gifts. Proving otherwise could take years. Years. Meanwhile, I was drowning in legal bills, supporting 2 kids alone. I called Derek's defense attorney. "Mr. Browning, I want to make your client an offer. Derek wants a plea deal, right? Reduce his sentence to maybe 10 years instead of 20? That's what we're negotiating. I can help. I'll provide testimony framing Derek as a victim, coerced by Romano, manipulated, in over his head. My testimony carries weight with prosecutors. In exchange for what? Derek signs over every penny in those offshore accounts. He gets a reduced sentence. I get the money he stole." 2 days later, I sat across from Derek in prison. He looked terrible. Weight loss, prison orange, exhausted. "Vic, thank you for coming. I'm not here to negotiate. You're going to sign over every dollar in those accounts. Give me complete access, full ownership. In exchange, I'll help reduce your sentence. You'll get out in 8 to 10 years instead of 20. And the kids? Will you bring them to visit?" "No." His face crumbled. "Victoria, please. I gave up the right to call yourself their father when you plan to abandon them. But I'll put the money into trust funds for Lily and Mason's education. Every dollar you stole goes toward their future. They'll never know it came from your crimes. That's not fair." "Fair. You forged my signature, bet our house, worked for a crime boss, had an affair, planned to abandon your children, and stole hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you want to talk about fair?" Silence. Finally, "I'll sign. Because, Derek, if you don't, I'll make sure you get maximum sentence on every charge. I'll testify you were the mastermind, that you recruited me into the scheme. I'll use every trick I learned in 12 years of litigation to bury you. You'll die in prison." "You'd really do that?" "Try me." He signed that afternoon. 3 weeks later, $340,000 was transferred to my accounts. I put $300,000 into trust funds for Lily and Mason, $150,000 each for college. The remaining $40,000 paid legal bills and rebuilt our emergency fund. Derek's plea deal was approved. 8 years, parole possible in 6. Gabriela Romano got 5 years. Vincent Romano got 25 years and forfeiture of all assets. I filed for divorce. It was finalized in 60 days. Derek didn't contest anything. 4 months later, I got a call from Dr. Patricia Walsh, a prison psychologist. "Derek's been in therapy. He's made progress. He's asked if you'd consider a family session." Absolutely not. "He's taken accountability. Written letters to your children he hasn't sent. Mrs. Chen, someday they'll have questions about their father. Wouldn't it be better if they heard his accountability firsthand?" I hung up, but her words stayed with me. 2 weeks later, I agreed to one meeting. In the prison visiting room, Derek looked different.
older, more worn, but somehow more present. Victoria, thank you for coming. I want to say I'm sorry. Not the manipulative sorry from before, genuinely sorry for everything I did to you and the kids. I've heard this before. I know, but I've spent months thinking about what kind of person does what I did. I was a coward who blamed everyone else for my failures. I built a story where I was the victim. That story justified everything. What do you want, Derek? I want you to know the kids will be okay. Because they have you. You're the strongest person I've ever known. And I want you to know you were right to turn me in, right to testify, right to take the money. You saved those kids from a father who would have destroyed their lives. Why tell me this? Because someday Lily and Mason might want to visit me. And when that happens, I'll tell them the truth, that their mom is a hero who protected them from their dad's mistakes. You don't get credit for saying what you should have felt all along. I know. We sat in silence. Finally, I spoke. I hope you use these years to become a better person, Derek. Not for me. I don't care. But for Lily and Mason. Because if they choose to know you someday, they deserve a father worthy of them. Right now, you're not. I know. And Derek, thank you for showing me exactly who you are. You taught me that trust isn't something you give automatically. It's something you verify and protect. I'll never make the mistake of blind trust again. I stood to leave. Victoria, I really did love you. No, Derek, you loved the life I gave you. You loved the stability, the home, the respectability. But you didn't love me, because if you had, you couldn't have done what you did.
2 months later, I sat with Lily as she cried in my arms. Why did Daddy stop loving us? Sweetheart, your daddy's problems had nothing to do with you. He made terrible choices, but that was about who he was, not who you are. You are smart and kind and brave. Nothing he did changes that. Will we ever see him again? Someday, if you want to, when you're older and ready, but that's your choice. What if I'm never ready? That's okay too. Whatever you decide, I'll support you. 1 year after Derek's arrest, I was promoted to senior partner. Lily was thriving in 4th grade. Mason had stopped asking about Derek. I'd started dating again. Nothing serious, just learning to trust slowly. Then I got a letter from Derek. He'd been granted early release to a halfway house in 3 months. Good behavior, cooperation with prosecutors. He wrote that he was getting his GED, learning accounting, had a warehouse job lined up. His parents would let him live with them if he paid rent and attended therapy. I don't expect you to care, but the life you saved by forcing me to face consequences might actually be worth something someday. I put the letter in a folder labeled Derek for the kids. Someday, when they were ready, they could read it. They could decide who their father was and what he meant to them. But that was their decision, not mine. People ask if I regret how I handled everything, if I should have been more forgiving. Here's what I tell them. I didn't destroy Derek's life. He destroyed it himself. I just refused to let him destroy mine and my children's lives in the process. Did I bet his freedom in court? Yes, just like he bet our house in a poker game. The difference is, my bet was justice. His was greed. Lily is 10 now. Mason is 7. They're happy, healthy, thriving. They know they have a father in prison. Someday they might want to know him, or maybe they won't. Either way, they'll make that choice from a place of security and love. As for me, I learned that the person you marry isn't always who they seem. I learned that trust is precious. I learned that loving someone doesn't mean letting them destroy you. And I learned that revenge isn't always served cold.
Sometimes it's best served with a subpoena, a wire recording, and federal RICO charges. Derek bet our house in poker. I bet his freedom in court. And unlike him, I won. The house I almost lost, I'm sitting in it right now. It's ours. It's safe. And nobody will ever take it from us again.